Shelter Special Edition. I'm your host today, Jay McDowell, and with me is my host, Kevin Schumm.
Hello, that's me.
This is a special edition in that this movie is not a bomb. Doesn't suck. Well,
Not at all.
we don't think so. We're going to give our quick little review of Star Wars The Last Jedi.
We just saw it this morning. We saw, I believe it was the second showing at the theater that we went to.
Yeah.
So fairly early.
It was nice. It wasn't crowded.
It wasn't crowded. It was a choose your own seat type theater. So we bought tickets a few weeks ago and we got, I think, the perfect seats.
Yep. Center of the theater. So it was really nice. Before we go too far, we'll let you know that this will more than likely be a little spoilery. We'll try not to go too much in depth into the story just because, go see it.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to go in cold, or if you haven't seen it yet or whatever, hit pause now and then go see it and then come back and hit play.
Yeah.
And then we'll continue on. Okay. Yep. So hit pause. Okay. You hit play. Yay. Okay. So now the movie, The Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
So what is your immediate first thought coming out of the theater?
Well, my immediate thought, I think I said this to you as we were walking out. I thought, I'm really bad at first time viewings and first time listening. So first time seeing a movie, it's hard for me to say like, it's better than this or worse than that. It's really hard for me to kind of but it's good.
Yeah. That's what I was meaning is not where does it rank in Star Wars, but
it definitely, I walked out confident. This is a good movie. It's, in a couple weeks from now, I'm not going to say like, no, that kind of sucked. I'm like, it's safely in the good side.
Yeah. I know when I walked out of Force Awakens, I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was something that, not that I didn't like, but something that just didn't work for me. And to this day, it's probably still my least favorite of the movies. I still love it, but this one I didn't come out feeling that way. There was a whole lot to process.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about in this one.
Yeah, and just a lot to take in, and a lot visually.
Yeah.
We can just right off the bat say, it film wise and visually wise, it was gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
and it just lots of color, lots of stuff going on. So there's a little bit of overload.
Yeah,
just from that. What did you think?
I agree. There's one scene which we'll probably, again, there will be spoilers. I assure you. There's one scene in it that I just thought, typically with a Star Wars movie, you might think that looked awesome, but you wouldn't say maybe, wow, that scene was beautiful. But in this one, there was one specific scene having to do with light speed and a crash that I thought,
yes,
that was like that should have been in like the Stanley Kubrick movie 2001 or something. It was just like it was a weird thing for a Star Wars movie, yet it still fit.
What was weird is it was silent.
Yeah, that made it even better, I think.
And then it happened. It's like in Attack of the Clones. One of my favorite parts is when Django is flying through the asteroid field and Obi-Wan's chasing him, and he lets off those seismic charges. And I remember in the theater, it comes out and it's quiet.
Yep, and then all of a sudden
it goes, and then boom.
Yeah,
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah, this too. It just, you see everything happening, and then it's just silent, and then the sound.
Yeah,
and that was a nice little touch.
And that's, I think. That doesn't necessarily, you may know now if you haven't seen the movie that some sort of crash happens, but you don't know who did it. You'll just know it's beautiful, and hopefully that didn't spoil it too much. We don't want to tell you the entire movie from start to finish.
Well, we're not going to tell you the whole movie, but we're just pretty much going to assume that you've seen it by now.
Yeah.
If you're like us, you've avoided anything that would tell you any part of the story or part of the movie, but you probably have seen it now. So
you came out pretty positive about it too.
Very positive. Yeah. It's it'll take me a while to figure out where it places. My first three are always Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. And
nothing that would, I doubt that it will be possible for a movie to come out a Star Wars movie that I will like more than those first three.
Yeah. And my first three, the only changes are, as far as nostalgia wise, I like them in order they came out. As far as story wise, I like Empire, Star Wars, and Jedi.
Yeah, I'm probably the same.
So it works. So really liked it. like I said, still trying to really process
Yeah.
everything.
There's a few different stories going on at once. You've got the First Order trying to basically
Eradicate.
eradicate the
They
rebels.
they've supposedly, I guess, I don't know how, but taken out the Republic, and they're just trying to get rid of
Yeah.
the last remnants
Yep.
of the resistance.
Yeah. So that's sort of the way that the story starts, and then of course left over from the last movie, you've got Rey coming in contact with Luke,
Yeah,
and you've got that whole little plot going on.
yeah, trying to get her training started and figure out who she is, and uh, not through Luke, but she's told about her
Yeah.
parentage, kind of,
Yeah.
but not given any names or anything.
Yeah.
Just and we're still not sure if it was basically Kylo Ren is telling her, your parents were drunks and they sold you for drinking money,
Yeah.
and we haven't been able to figure out yet if he was just yanking her chain to
Yeah.
get her mad, or if he really was telling
Yeah.
her, that well, that's what happened.
We've seen these tricks. If it is a trick instead of just the truth, we've seen this before in Star Wars movies where someone will sort of tell someone a lie to get them to do what
And
they're
it's
trying to get them to
true
do.
from a certain point of view.
Yeah, from a certain point of view. But yeah, I'm here we are a whole couple hours from when we saw the
Yeah.
movie, but I'm of the opinion that I don't know if her parents are going to be like, Skywalkers or Solos or
Kenobis.
which is my vote. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I do doubt that her parents were just what Kylo Ren said that they were. I think he was trying to manipulate her.
I kind of like the idea that she's just, as he said, a nobody from a nowhere planet.
Yeah.
Just because I get tired of the, as one of my friends puts it, the galactic trailer park.
Yeah.
Where everybody's related to everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody knows everybody. It's nice that she's just a person that just happens to be a Force user.
And really, Anakin, if you think about it, he wasn't from, the Skywalker name.
Yeah.
He was just a little slave kid from some nowhere planet.
Yeah. Had they not gone to Tatooine,
yeah.
never
So
would have found them.
So yeah, she very well could be that. Not Luke. Anakin was that very same thing. Not drunken parents, but
But I'm wondering though if they intentionally are the makers of the movie are intentionally trying hard to not do it, so that because one of the big complaints about Force Awakens was that it was there were a lot of similarities to Star Wars, and by Star Wars I mean New Hope. I call it Star Wars because that's what it was.
That's what it was called. Yeah.
You got the Force user on a desert planet who goes on to do greater things.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how many similarities there were until I saw it side by side, and it was scary.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if at some point it was, yes, she's Luke's daughter, or a Solo somehow, or a Kenobi.
Yeah.
Or somebody we've heard of, and then they said, yeah, well, everybody's thinking that's what we're gonna do, or there was a lot of backlash about how similar this was, and it really was, guys.
Yeah.
So let's
Let's change it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if they leave it vague like this, it could go either way, and maybe they'll decide that at a later time. Maybe they had a plan and have changed it, or they just don't know yet, and this is a way to allow them to decide later on what they're going to do with it.
And speaking of, as we were talking about this on the way to the movie, Snoke, we don't find anything out about him, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and if you've Googled who is Snoke, it comes up immediately, and you'll find page after page after page of all these theories. And I read through, because I wondered too, because you almost get to the point where you assume, well, he's got to be someone. He's got to be actually the father of so and so, or the master of this guy.
A lot of people were saying he was Ezra from Rebels.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen the cartoon.
No, but I read I haven't seen the cartoon, but I read the theory.
Yeah. And somebody said Mace Windu. Of course, there's Emperor.
Yeah.
And I was actually afraid that's where it was going.
Yeah.
Because the scene where Kylo brings Rey to Snoke, I mean, there's lines from Jedi.
Yeah.
They walk in, it looks well, not quite exactly,
Not exactly, but you know, it's
but
the same thing.
it's the same idea of the Emperor sitting there and her being brought, or Luke being brought before the Emperor, and in this case, it's Rey being brought before,
Yeah.
and the way he's talking, I'm just like, oh, don't slip into there, oh yeah, well, he's as powerful as his grandfather was, and I should know because I
Because
trained him.
yeah.
And I'm just
Yeah.
like, no.
And I think it was nice for reading all the different theories. I had one or two that I thought, well, if it's going to be one of these, I hope it's this or that. But actually, overall, I'm happy that it was just, as far as we know,
Yeah,
he was
he's just a guy.
he's just another bad guy.
Yeah,
You know.
I'd be happy if he's just someone who is in the unknown areas and
Yeah.
the outer
Rose to
rim,
power.
and
Yeah.
and just saw an opportunity when the Empire fell, and
Yeah.
and stepped in.
Yeah.
I'd be totally happy with that.
You said one thing, and I don't know if this is the perfect time to say it, but you pointed out one thing. If I'm going to say any negatives about it, it would be some of the Force Awakens really copied A New Hope, and this one really copied bits and pieces of a couple movies, but a little bit. I almost thought, I was thinking they probably learned their lesson from
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, and
Yeah.
clearly they didn't completely learn the lesson, because there's still a lot of some lines were almost close to word for word.
Yeah, there were some that I was just like, seriously, people?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just the story ideas on film are going to be limited because of the time. When you look at all the stuff that's considered legends now that was regulated or deregulated from canon to now legends, they have the time in a comic book to tell a story, or over the course of several novels, to tell a story and give you more of the galaxy. Whereas the movies, you're kind of limited to your 2.5 hours in this case. So I'm wondering if some of that is just a matter of they're just trying to basically that the story only has so far to go in a movie.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that we're going to see these repeats of things because we're dealing with the same people.
Yeah, that's true.
If like Rogue One was different because really you didn't have a Jedi in it.
Yeah.
You had Vader was the only, spoilers,
Yeah.
was the only Force user in there, and it was for a limited time.
Yeah.
So you could tell a different story because you weren't telling a story of Jedi. These, you're telling a story of Jedi, and Jedi tend to kind of be the same.
Yeah, and maybe the Sith do the same thing. They sort of speak in the same way, and they have the same goals, and and I mean, maybe it's one of those, I have a bad feeling about this that pops up all the time. It's not necessarily.
Where was that in this?
I don't think it was. I know, but my point is that came up a lot, several times in the prequels, right?
In every Star Wars movie, it's been in every movie.
But yeah, I mean, even in the prequels, though, years later, it wasn't just like that was George Lucas's idea originally, and then they moved on from that. It's like it wasn't in this one though. But I'm just saying, like, we have lingo these days, American lingo, where we have these little sayings that might come from a different country or different time and not understand what in the world does that mean.
Yeah,
maybe I got a bad feeling about this was sort of a common thing.
But these were lines like the elevator scene.
Yeah,
when Kylo Ren has taken Rey to see Snoke, she's in binders just like Luke was.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren is standing behind her just like Vader was and standing back a little bit. And she goes, basically, you don't have to do this. I can feel the conflict in you.
It's the same.
It was the same thing. And it's like, there's homage, and then there's just where it feels like, come on, you could have done something. Or it feels lazy, and it felt lazy there.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. I mean, because you could have got the same point across without being so close to literally the same words. And even when Snoke was talking, there was a lot of, not maybe word for word, but a lot of the same words used closely together, saying things to Rey that the Emperor had said to Luke,
and it right down to putting the lightsaber on the side, and I was waiting for him to go, you want
You
this?
want
Take
this? Yeah.
it. Strike me down.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that because I was just like, okay, we're doing a little too much aping. Um, the one of the nits I have to pick, and there were a few.
Yeah.
There was nothing that I outright didn't like.
Yeah.
That I was just like, oh, there was no. I hate Santa gets everywhere, or
Yeah.
let's go back to when our love was young and blah blah. Yeah. There was just a lot of little things,
Yeah.
and it could be a death by a thousand paper cuts kind of thing, but it's not enough to ruin the movie for me.
Yeah.
But the one part because I was so afraid this was going to get, because we've got AT-ATs.
Yeah.
And, we've got all this. And I was like, oh, no, we're going to get too much Empire in here. And sure enough, they're on a white planet.
Yeah.
And
Definitely not snow.
The AT-ATs, well, that was the part that bugged me.
Yeah.
Excuse me, was they go and I watch when the resistance troops, rebel troops, are getting into the trench, and there's the cannons behind them, and I'm going, this is Hoth.
Yeah.
And then you see the walkers coming, and it's like, seriously, this is Hoth. And then whoever that old guy was, has to get out of the trench to walk, and he leaves footprints, and then the trooper goes and runs his finger through, and then licks his finger, goes, it's salt.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was the clumsiest way.
That was him saying, Jay, this isn't hot.
It's not
this
snow.
Is salt. This is salt planet.
Yeah, it's not hot.
Yeah.
It was so clumsy. And I was just like, serious?
Yeah. And I think that was
maybe was totally intentional.
It was intentional, and sort of, it was supposed to sort of be funny, like what is it, breaking the third wall, where you sort of say like, hey, I know you're all thinking this,
fourth wall,
fourth wall, not third. But yeah, that bugged me a little bit too. It was sort of goofy, and which actually, I think we talked about this a little bit. There was a little too much comedy in the movie.
I've always enjoyed the humor in Star Wars, but it's always been very organic.
Yeah, it happens and because of the situation it's in.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts in Empire is when Han goes to fire up the hyperdrive on the Falcon, and it dies, and he's like, what they told me, it was fixed, this isn't my fault, it isn't my fault. And then Lando does the same thing. He's like, they told me it was fixed, and it's a serious moment, but you see him just coming unhinged. He's like, they told me it was all fixed. What's going on? That kind of humor, that was funny. But they're gonna execute her, better her than me, that kind of stuff. He's the brain, sweetheart. But the humor in this, there were some that were really funny. Like, I totally was not expecting. I started laughing when Luke chucked his lightsaber over his shoulder after he took it from Rey, and he was just like, oh.
Yeah, because she's holding this thing that to her is like a piece of history, a legendary.
Well, and they go back to the scene that ended Force Awakens with her standing there holding it out to him, and he's just like,
looks at it like,
and just walks off.
Because he's
cranky old man.
He's
Luke.
Cranky. Yeah, he has a different opinion of, what a Jedi is, and should a Jedi be respected and held in honor. In
basically, he's disillusioned with the whole thing and is ready to chuck the whole thing.
There is one thing that I want to go back just a couple minutes on that I thought it wouldn't have been funny in the movie, but I kept thinking, how the lines are similar between this and some of the lines in the original trilogy, and particularly where Snoke is speaking to Rey, whereas the Emperor was speaking to Luke, and he kept calling him young Skywalker. And I thought, well, maybe Snoke will slip and accidentally say her last name, and then we'll know who she's related to. Like young
Calrissian
adopted
young Baba.
Anyway, I almost laughed during that scene, because I was like, say her last name, then I'll know. But I think he called her young Rey, or just Rey, or something like that.
Yeah. He wasn't referring to her as a Jedi. I mean, he was kind of taunting her as like when she fought back, he's like, "Oh, you fight like a Jedi, which means I have to kill you," kind of thing, which he's going to do anyway.
He's really powerful and kind of neat too. Like, he was really like,
and one of the parts though that made me concerned he was going to be the Emperor was he he used force lightning.
Yeah, he did.
And I was like, oh no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Let's not do that again, please.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that he wasn't.
I don't think so. And I think, as we've seen, I mean, it seems like certain people that use the force seem to sort of specialize one, a little more this direction, or like one guy might be the best at, the sword, the lightsaber,
Yeah.
and another might be better at picking things up.
Well, in the background canon, and I don't know if it's legends or if it's canon, but I want to say that even in the prequels, there were different levels of Jedi. In fact, there were.
Yeah.
I just thought of it. There were different levels of Jedi. You had your fighters, you had your mediator types, you had your healer types, and then you had some that were more what's the word I'm looking for? Office workers.
Yeah, yeah.
You had the, Jocasta knew the librarian.
Yeah,
But she was still a Jedi. I mean,
yeah.
she still had a lightsaber. She'd still fight.
Yeah.
But you did have different Jedi that did different things, and even in the games, and some of this is just because of the way the games are set up. But in a lot of the games where you can build your Jedi up as you go through the game, you can choose certain powers, and certain powers you can't have because you've got one.
Yeah.
Certain powers, if you like, what was it? I think it was Dark Forces or something. You could choose all light side powers, or you could start choosing dark side powers, and that would determine the end of the game.
Okay.
And you could choose. You had a meter basically that showed which side you were leaning to, and you could take some good and some bad, and you'd start, leaning too far one way or the other. And I think that's the idea with the Jedi in the movie is they have certain things that they specialize in. I know they do have certain techniques, lightsaber techniques that they use.
Yeah.
That are different fighting styles.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like that though. Like in the video games, there's only so you can't have every power, and you can't have every power maxed.
And that's really neat. I mean, if everyone had the lightning power, or everyone was the best at swords, or could lift the most, I mean, it would get boring. It's kind of neat that some can do this, and it's like, wow, I didn't know someone could do that.
Yeah,
and Luke does something in this movie that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, we saw a brand new force power, which was pretty impressive, and it did pretty good. But before we get to that, to that part, I want to talk about Kylo Ren and his kind of waffling between the two. He's definitely got daddy issues.
Yeah.
And he's, at the beginning of the movie, he's still, walking around, I'm Darth Vader's grandson kind of thing. And Snoke calls him out on it. And it was like, get rid of that ridiculous mask. And I just see a child with a mask. And that really tears away at him to the point where he starts, when he's got more in contact with Rey, he starts kind of, well, maybe. And realizes that Snoke is bad.
Yeah. And Snoke is really just using him as a tool almost. Like, he doesn't necessarily, I mean, we were even speaking about how it doesn't seem like he's even fully trained. That Snoke maybe trained him just enough to get done what Snoke wants to get done. He doesn't care about completing the training or having Kylo Ren get to a certain level or something.
That would keep him from becoming too powerful, too hard to control if he made him too confident in his powers. Because right now, well, in the movie, Snoke could play on his insecurities and go, well, you're not that good. You know? But, when he, and again, spoilers, when he turns on Snoke and then he and Rey fight together, you think, well, maybe he's redeeming himself. And she keeps calling him Ben. And that's important because, in the other movies, when somebody turned to a Sith, the other person's dead.
Yeah, that name doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, and they don't like hearing that name. Yeah. It's like, no, stop. Don't remind me who I was.
Yeah.
And she keeps referring to him as Ben. And you think, okay, well, he's gonna turn, completely redeem himself.
Yeah.
And then he kind of does, but then he's like, no, we can rule the galaxy together and do this our way.
Yeah.
And very, very reminiscent of Anakin,
Yeah.
telling Padme that in Sith.
Yeah.
And Rey's just like, no,
Yeah.
no, we won't.
It's weird. I really like. I didn't know what I thought of Kylo Ren in the first new movie. At
Yeah.
first, I kind of didn't like him, and then the more I think about it, I kind of do like him. I mean, he's not.
He was.
He's got his faults, but they're faults that regular people in real life have too,
Yeah.
which is kind of neat because it's like maybe just because you're great at the Force doesn't mean you've got everything in check and you're a mature human being. Maybe
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
got some problems too.
Yeah, which he does.
And he does. And I even see it kind of a natural progression. Yeah, like he has this statement where he's basically like, forget about Snoke, forget about Luke Skywalker, forget
Yeah.
about the
Forget about
Resistance.
your past. Let go.
Yeah. And I almost think he slipped to the dark side, and then he sort of like, I think killing his dad sort of cemented that, which he
Yeah.
probably thinks, even if I try to be good, I still did that. I'm never going to be good, all the way
Yeah.
good at least. He kind of cut that hope, or I don't know what the term would be for that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he doesn't want to just be another tool. Maybe he's thinking like, well, if I turn good, then who's going to be the guy that's telling me what to do now?
Yeah. Well, he does lack a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And it shows in that he's easily led.
Yeah. Yeah.
And easily swayed. And I liked it, but he kind of went 0 to 60.
Yeah.
In some ways, it was like, when after they took out Snoke and took out the Praetorian guards, and she's gone, Rey's gone.
Yeah.
And Hux comes in and he goes, "Where's the girl?" And Kylo Ren's like, "She stole the shuttle and left."
Yeah, and
or
killed
she
Snoke.
killed Snoke, and she stole the shuttle and left. Or well, I guess Hux said that, but anyway,
Yeah.
it implied that she killed Snoke when it was Kylo that did. And then it's almost like, because he put his hand out to her and he's like, just come with me and we can rule this galaxy
Yeah.
and do it right. And I think, kind of like when Anakin said that to Padme, I think he had the best of intentions,
Yeah.
but he's already down that path a little bit. So it's like, yeah, you'd have the best of intentions, but you still
Yeah.
are tainted.
Yeah.
And it's like she said no, and he's like, "Fine then, be that way."
Yeah,
and threw
yeah.
a temper tantrum and went full on, kill them all,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there was just not a lot of subtlety
Yeah.
to it, not a lot of
Yeah.
build up to it.
And maybe that's another thing about just, we're watching a movie that, even though it was the longest Star Wars movie so far, I believe,
think so, yeah.
you still don't have that much time. I mean, maybe if you pace it different or cut out
It,
other storylines,
it
you could.
wasn't as bad as Anakin turning to Vader.
Yeah,
in
9 minutes.
30 seconds. Oh,
Yeah.
9 minutes. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't that bad, but it still,
Yeah.
was a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I appreciated him more in this movie, even with flaws like that. I think I kind of get him. He's a kind of, not, I was going to say well-rounded, and that's actually the opposite of what he is, but there's a full character there. Like, there's a person I can imagine, forget about the Force, forget about, lightsabers. I can imagine some kid having issues in real life like that, and not really, kind of like wanting to be good, but not wanting to be bad. And I can just, it seems like a real
and
person.
even wanting to be the best at what he wants to do, but nobody really takes him seriously or gives him the chance to.
Yeah.
And as far as Rey goes, I was concerned going in that they were going to have her turn.
Yeah.
And I was really glad they didn't, because I'm very simple with my heroes and villains.
Yeah.
I like my heroes good and my villains bad.
Yeah.
And I don't groove on this in between. I mean, I don't mind some gray, some heroes that bend the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
But like Wolverine, he always was a little much. It was like, yeah, he's a good guy, but he's, bad, man. And it's like, this gets old.
Yeah.
You know. But, ever since I saw Star Wars, that formulated my view of good guys and bad guys. Good guys are good and bad guys are bad, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I hate it when they turn my good guys.
Yeah.
And I was especially afraid of that with Luke.
Yeah, yeah.
because
In this movie,
in
Luke.
this movie,
Yeah.
yeah, because some of the posters were showing him lined up with, uh, they kind of had the good guys on one side and the bad guys on the other,
Yeah.
and Luke was a little more on the bad
Yep.
guy's side. And
Yep.
it was like, and they did. I don't know if you noticed. I didn't notice it until I'd read something. Um, when he tells his story, his side of what happened at the Jedi training temple,
Yeah.
he tells, he tells Rey at first
Yeah.
that, I sensed something evil in
Yeah.
Ben, and then he turned on me.
Yeah.
And then Kylo Ren tells her, well, he tell you everything? She's like, yes. And he goes, well, did he tell you that he was going to murder me, basically?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll have to, when I see it again, take note. Apparently, when he raised his saber, his eyes were yellow, were
Okay.
Sith yellow
Oh, I didn't
eyes.
notice.
And then when Luke tells his version of it, because the way that Kylo Ren tells it is that Luke was standing over him with his lightsaber and
Yeah.
ready to take him out. And Luke tells, when he's confronted by Rey, tells her, no, I was going to. It was an impulse because I sensed it. And
Yeah.
I knew
For
I
a
had to
second,
stop it.
yeah.
Yeah. And I had my saber on, and then I composed myself. And then he woke up basically and saw I had my lightsaber on.
Yeah.
And that caused him to fully, turn on me. But he didn't have his eyes
Yeah.
yellow
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
time. And I thought that was interesting. But I was just glad that it was kind of Kylo's version, which indicates that he's kind of talent feeding her a
Yeah.
line
Yeah.
to get her to come along.
Yeah.
But I did not want Luke to turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
I would have been okay if he even was gray,
Yeah.
a gray Jedi. But I did not want it to be, well,
Yeah.
I dabbled in the dark side too.
Yeah. I've been
and
secretly doing this in the behind the scenes.
yeah. When in fact he just totally cut himself off from
Yeah.
it because he just said, I screwed up, and
Yeah.
look what I've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was really happy about that.
Yeah. Me too.
Well, let's talk about the. Well, is there anybody else? We Carrie Fisher.
Carrie
She
Fisher's in
was-
it.
She played a big part in it.
Yeah, I expected her, and I know that she passed away. That the actress passed away before or after the filming was complete.
Yes.
But for some reason, I just didn't expect her to be in it so much, and she was in it a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
more than I thought.
And did really good too.
Yeah, it was. I liked every. I gotta say, I mean, I don't know if we're to the point where we can just say stuff we like, but anything with Carrie Fisher in it, I thought was great. She did a great job, and same with Mark Hamill as Luke. I was worried it was going to get a little too much. Remember when I used to be young Luke Skywalker? You still like me, right? But it was just really good.
I was a little worried that because he's 66 years old,
Yeah.
and she was in her 50s, I think.
I think so, yeah.
And they, they're not young. It was 30
Yeah.
years, 30 plus years ago that
Yeah.
Jedi came out, and Carrie Fisher's lived a rough life.
Yeah, you can tell.
And Mark Hamill, he's been doing voice work. He
Yeah.
said himself, I lost 65 pounds to play the part.
Wow.
But it wasn't ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was one thing in Force Awakens, is when Han would run. He looked like a 70-something-year-old man running.
Yeah.
And just like, in Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull,
Yeah.
when he's doing this stuff, it's like, you're 60-something years old. You
Yeah.
don't look natural doing this stuff. And it's obvious when there's a stuntman.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was really glad that they did very much like they did with Alec Guinness in Star Wars, because I believe he was 66 when he first played Obi-Wan. And they didn't have his character doing flips.
Yeah.
Or, super running. He was an old Jedi. He probably
Yeah.
couldn't do that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
But
Luke was the same.
and Luke was the same.
Yep.
They didn't have him doing crazy stuff that you're going, it's a 66-year-old man.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
It's stretching things a little bit. but yeah, as far as the acting too, it was really good. I
Yeah, it
mean, they
was.
both were
Yeah,
just super good,
both
and
of them. I think pretty much everyone in the movie did a really good job acting wise.
yeah, because I know I didn't really care for the character of Finn
Yeah,
in Force Awakens,
yeah.
but I liked him a lot more in
Me too.
this.
Me too. He almost seemed like in Force Awakens. He almost seemed just like a. I'm really bad with.
Comedic relief.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sort of. He's in there just to be funny and to do the facial expressions
Yeah,
and
do a
make you
few little
laugh. And
one-liners and
yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he was a good character in this.
Yeah, they
I liked
fleshed him
him.
out a little more.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, Oscar Isaac and
yeah.
Daisy Ridley, they were all really good. We did have one new character
Oh yeah,
that played a little more of a part in it, Rose.
yeah,
Um, she kind of started out. I don't know. I didn't think much of her character,
yeah,
and really, she wasn't my favorite. I wouldn't say she was the weak link, but her and Finn's little adventure was the weak part of the movie for
yeah,
me,
yeah.
and it could totally be gone from the
Oh
movie,
yeah,
and because ultimately it didn't even do any.
yeah.
It didn't help anybody.
There's basically the plan, and part of the plan is they're supposed to go get something that's going to save everyone else, and they go do that. They semi complete it, but then it ends up not
Yeah,
mattering anyway.
yeah,
So it's almost like you could have made the movie, I don't know, about a half, maybe not a half an hour, but maybe 15, 20 minutes shorter, and just skip that whole, hey, we're going to do this. Oh, wait, no, we're not.
yeah. Because basically they did it. They got back. It blew up in their faces, and then they were back with the resistance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, well, that didn't
It could have
really.
just been a dream. Like, oh, I
Yeah,
thought that was
it
real.
could totally pull that and
Yeah.
not have any impact on the movie whatsoever.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if that was one, I can't say it's horrible, but I easily would have, I would be happy if that part wasn't in the movie.
It
That
was
would make
just
me
for
happy.
me. It was just weak.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
all, and an excuse to get a cantina scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's
Because
Star
you
Wars.
gotta
We have to have
you
a
gotta have
cantina
everything.
scene. And it
Yeah.
didn't even have that. That's one thing that's disappointed me with these last two movies. I realize it's in a different part of the galaxy,
Yeah.
but if you geek out and you look at the galactic map, it's not that far from. I think. Trying to think. I don't think it's actually that far from Tatooine
Okay.
and all that. It's not in some far off other corner of
Yeah.
the galaxy. You don't see, and here's where I'm really going to geek out. You don't see any Rhodians. You don't see a Qualish, which Rhodians were Greedo.
Okay.
Qualish were Walrus Man.
Yeah.
You see Mon
Yeah.
Calamari, who are Admiral Akbar and his people. You see them because they're part of the rebellion.
Yeah.
But you don't see. There's just a lot of aliens that you don't see, and I'm glad we get some new ones.
Yeah.
But all these others, they've been everywhere. There's Rhodians everywhere.
Yeah.
And just I'd like to see some of them so there is some connection that I'm still in the same universe.
That's the connection I'd like to see instead of repeating lines.
Yeah.
If you're going to connect it to a previous movie, have some creature in there that you see in the other movies, like,
just
oh yeah,
in the background. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, huts are everywhere. They're, I mean, they're not just cruising around the background, but
yeah,
because even Rogue One, they did that. They had Walrus Man and Doctor Evasion in it, but it helped to connect it.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the things that I want a connection to the prequels and the original trilogy. I don't want it to ape the other movies.
Yeah,
but yeah, having some familiar alien characters and more of them, because the casino scene, which was the cantina scene,
yeah,
there were aliens. There weren't enough. There were mostly humans.
Mostly humans, yeah.
Or humans with just a little weird thing on their face.
You'd almost think from this movie that, by far there are more humans than anything else in the galaxy, which I don't know is necessarily true, right?
Yes, there's according to the lore and everything, there's humans and near humans and then like non-humans.
Okay.
So there's humans, there's your Corellians and Alderaanians and people from Tatooine and stuff. And then there's your near humans who are like looks like a person. Oh yeah, sorry. I looked away because we're in the Star Wars room, and I'm looking at all the figures up there and trying to find
Yeah.
people, and I like totally went away from the microphone. Sorry. But then you've got the near humans who are they basically look like a person, but they might be purple skinned,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like
Okay.
the chiss, and or they might have weird tentacles hanging down from their face.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're basically human. Then you have the non-humans. You have the Rhodians. You have Ewoks. You have
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay.
By far, there are more humans
Okay.
in the galaxy, but the background. I just like the background aliens to add some color to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and even in Force Awakens when they went to Maz's place, there was a lot of aliens.
Oh yeah.
And in fact, one of my favorites was a droid. It was a 2-1B medical droid,
Huh.
but it was kind of torn up,
Okay.
and like somebody had just kind of repaired it bits
Yeah.
and pieces. But I don't think there were any aliens that I recognized.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would have really liked that.
Me too. I would have liked that.
But so well, let's get to the
Yeah.
to the big part here. Luke's ultimate sacrifice, I guess you could say, but
Yeah.
not. I don't know. It seems like a strong word, but
Yeah.
yeah, Luke faces Kylo Ren.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind
There's
of.
a point in the movie where you kind of think, oh, this is going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader from A New
From
Hope
Star Wars, yeah.
again, because you got the same thing. You got the good guy and the bad guy with some people watching.
And they're facing off with the lightsaber duel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was really, really concerned they were going to go the Obi-Wan route.
Yeah.
And Luke would shut down his lightsaber and be taken out, and then I'm going to be more powerful, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which we know how powerful that is. Well, actually, we learned from a surprise guest in the movie just how powerful Force Ghosts can actually be.
That's true.
I know when Luke showed up, this scene, I was like, oh, he stopped for a haircut and some Just for Men for his beard.
Yeah, he looked a little younger, a little bit more put together.
Yeah.
Because on the island, he's looking pretty like
pretty
you'd expect
rough.
someone who lives by himself on an island for that many
long,
years.
stringy hair
Yeah.
and big, long beard and everything.
Yeah.
And he's looking pretty put together. And he and Kylo Ren face out. I did love, and I'll just go ahead and spoil it.
Yeah.
When they fired everything they had
Oh,
at
yeah.
him, all those AT-ATs, everything, and then I'm thinking, okay, they're not going to just take. I did like the fact that Kylo Ren was like, Hux is like, well, what do you want to do? He goes, fire everything we have at that person.
Yeah.
Because you always think that in movies, they're like, no, I'll take care of this myself.
I love that too, because my first thought was he's gonna say, okay, because he said right before that, he says stop when he sees Luke walk out.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, now he's gonna go down and
Yeah,
fight
let
him.
me go down.
But nope, he did what you always want.
What you want your bad guys to
Yeah.
do, which is, I've got all this firepower.
Yeah.
I'm not going to screw around.
Yeah. Well, no, let me stop and explain my whole plan to you first. And then,
Yeah. I'll go down and take care of this myself.
Yeah.
I loved that. And then and they fired. And then at the end, the smoke clears. And then he's standing there. Because I was like, okay, well, I don't know how he's going to get out of this.
I know, me too. I was like, I don't know that force power.
And then he just brushes his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he tells Hux to get his lander or to take him down there. Hux is like, what? Slams him against the wall. And
Yeah.
we'll get right on, sir. Right away, sir.
Yeah.
I just love that. But yeah, he does face off. And Luke does have a moment with Leia.
Yeah.
And kind of tries to, make things right about, or at least apologize about how he feels he failed Ben.
Yeah.
And then he, sees C-3PO, well, C-3PO sees him, and just hearing 3PO say Master Luke, that was really nice. Neat. I mean, it's dumb. It was simple, but it just felt perfect.
Yep.
And then him turning and winking at him.
Yep.
or Luke winking at 3PO. And then, he goes down there. And basically what he's doing is just buying them time to get out. And it turns out that Luke is not there.
He's not really there.
This
Yeah.
is the new force power we never knew existed.
Yeah, he basically, more than just a projection of himself, he seems to semi-physically be there.
Yeah, because he touches Luke's hand, or Leia's hand,
yeah.
Leia's face, gives her a kiss.
Yeah.
3PO can see him, which
Yeah.
I was telling Kevin before we started recording. I can't remember what the article was, but I was reading, and somebody pointed out, well, C-3PO is mechanical. How could he see a force projection?
Yeah.
And so that means Luke had to have made himself physical. And as of this point, we've only seen it once, but I am certain Luke and Kylo crossed sabers.
Yeah, I think so too. Since you mentioned, I think they did.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, but he wasn't just like a hologram type thing. He was, in some way, he was sort of really there.
Yeah. It was almost like he was projecting himself, but he was there. I mean,
it's hard to say.
It's hard to explain.
It's unique. I haven't seen it before like this.
Yeah, and well, it was kind of alluded to between Kylo and Rey.
Yeah,
because Snoke, unbeknownst to them, made it so they could basically communicate through the Force.
Yeah, from great distance.
From great distances. And then they got to where they could actually touch.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of alluded to. And then we see Luke there, and we find out at the end that it was just this Force projection.
Yeah.
And I thought at first that he had traveled there because we see his X-Wing earlier in the water.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to pull it up out of the water, fly, and come in and save the day. But then I was like, yeah, that means he's probably going to die here.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to see that. So, fortunately, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But he does end up dying.
Yeah.
But I was really sad about it, but I was happy with the way they did it.
Yeah, me too.
Because, basically he does this. It takes everything he has out of him.
Yeah. Because
he's been cut off from the Force for however many years.
Yeah.
And it taxes him, and he disappears.
Yeah, when it's first revealed, it's revealed to you because basically Kylo Ren can't get him with a lightsaber because he's basically not completely physically
corporeal, there. Yeah.
And then you finally see Luke back still on the island, just kind of.
I love the line when Luke, because Kylo Ren's like, just what?
Yeah.
He goes, catch you later, kid, or something like that,
yeah.
and then he just disappears.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
And you see him on the island again, and you're like, when you first see him, you're like, okay, well, I didn't know Jedi could do that, but whatever that took, everything he had in him to do that for that amount of time.
Because he's floating.
Yeah.
He's in that lotus position, he's floating, and then he comes down and he collapses, and he gets up.
Yeah.
And that basically that's it. And then they have the two sons, and that was the most beautiful scene in the movie to me.
Yeah.
And
it's Luke back when he was a kid again.
Yeah, and they played the Luke theme and everything. It was just that was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then he disappears, and his cloak splits away, and I thought it was really, really well done.
I think so too. That was now I need to go see it again. But there's I was thinking, are we okay to say about some parts we liked again, or are we still on?
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, I keep thinking of more and more parts I like, which is a really good sign because it's getting better in my mind, not worse.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned the C-3PO where he says Master Luke,
that
was really nice. But that reminded me of one of my other favorite parts that was not like action filled, like that's awesome, but more like touching. When Luke basically says, "I'm not going to help you," to Rey.
Yeah.
And then remember what C3 or what R2D2 does?
Cheap trick.
He actually projects the very same little video recorded
the hologram
all the way
of Leia.
back of Leia saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope," which was awesome. Just to think, like, I don't know if he's kept it just to keep it, or if he just was like, "Oh, I still have that."
Yeah, well,
but it was really either way, it was awesome.
And you know what? I don't know if it is. I would actually love it if the reason that's in there is they went back after Carrie Fisher passed away and added it, because the scene in Force Awakens where they go to the Jajaric chess table and they play it, okay, it was fun to see, but it was like very forced.
Yeah.
And when Finn is going through the stuff and he pulls out the remote, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
really, Han had that for 30 years,
30 years. Yeah.
and that it just didn't do anything right. This though, it was like
Yeah.
that was a really, and I really want to think that they put it in there as a
Yeah.
tribute
That would be neat.
to her, and
Yeah.
it was just really neat. It was a
Yeah.
really neat
I really
scene.
love that part.
Yeah, yeah, but I did love this. He just looks at cheap trick.
When you've been a Star Wars fan for this long, a scene like that can bring tears to your eyes.
I know
almost.
it does.
Even
it does.
even talking about it right now, it kind of does.
Yeah,
But
I know. Yeah,
yeah,
but
as far as action wise, I think my favorite scene was, again, obviously spoiler, but when Kylo Ren kills Snoke.
well, that wasn't so much action. I like the action after, but I love the way he did it.
Well, yeah, it's not action like someone flying through the air, but just it's
The
not
scene
about
itself.
Yeah, it's about a scene. It's about yeah.
And it does show that he has some good grasp of his abilities.
Yeah, that he's such a mixed
Yeah,
One problem with The Force Awakens is when you first see Kylo Ren, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is like unstoppable. And then later on, someone who's never used a lightsaber before beats him up.
yeah,
And you're like, okay, yeah, I mean, she may be powerful with the Force, but she hasn't been trained yet. Whereas this, and that's what sort of got us talking earlier on about, well, maybe he's special, maybe he's not the best at the sword. Maybe he's really good at some of these other things that we haven't seen before. Like, he's got this incredibly powerful guy, Snoke, basically thinking he's manipulating Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And Kylo Ren actually at some point is sort of
pulling it
back on him. And you actually physically see with what Kylo Ren's hands are doing with what's actually happening. Like, you know how you say, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing?
Yeah.
He's sort of doing that. With one hand, it looks like he's going to kill Rey.
Yeah.
And with the other hand, he's secretly about to kill Snoke, which is
he's
pretty
manipulating the what it is if you've seen it, with the lightsaber sitting next to Snoke, and he turns Luke's lightsaber and he turns it towards him, and Snoke's saying, yeah, now he's gonna point the lightsaber at you, and now he's gonna kill you with that lightsaber, and then you hear psh, and he's got this look on his face like, what? And then he looks down, and yeah, that was really. And then he pulls it.
He force pulls the lightsaber towards him, which cuts Snoke in half.
Because I was just sitting there going, that would hurt a lot.
But he might be able to.
But he
get up from that.
He might be able to rebound from that.
Yeah.
And when he pulled it, there I was like, no, he ain't coming back from
Darth
that
Maul.
one. And then I loved it. It reminded me when Hux goes in there after they fought and Ren's laying there and just the body
the bottom half of Snoke falls off the little throne
off the chair
I love that. See, and here we are talking about it, and we both walked out. I walked out at least thinking like, at least I can say it's good. I'm solidly, this is a good movie. And the more we're talking about it, the more I'm liking it.
I don't really have anything bad to say about it. Like I said, I've got a few little nits here and there.
Yeah.
But nothing.
Yeah, I got a few little nits in every movie.
And I didn't walk out of it going, I don't really, I can't put my finger on what didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah,
and it
works.
I
think the next time I see it, I'm gonna like it even more.
Yeah, because every time I've seen Force Awakens afterward, I've not disliked it more or anything, but I'm just like, still isn't doing it for me.
I don't dislike Force Awakens. There's some really neat things that happen in that movie, but yeah, overall, I'm pretty sure this movie I'm gonna like a lot more.
Yeah,
a couple of years from now, when I've watched both many times, I think I'm gonna say, this one's a lot better.
A whole lot of movies to choose from. So the one thing though that I really thought was really, really cool at the end, and suddenly there was something in the theater that got into my eyes, and it screwed my eyes up.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of the credits, when it said "dedicated to our princess," Carrie Fisher, I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was. There were a few times during the movie I'm like, I hope Jay isn't looking at me right now, because
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I'm just gonna casually rub my eyes, like, I'm tired.
I'm tired, like the guy sitting 2 seats down from me. This is at 10 a.m. in the morning, and he sits down, and I would say at at the most 20 minutes into
20
the movie,
minutes in.
he's loudly snoring next to me.
Snoring in a Star Wars movie that just came out.
That just came out. Like, I doubt, unless he watched it like midnight last night. And
That's what I wanted to ask him. I was like, were you like here for a midnight viewing or something?
And then you came back.
Yeah, because he was. I mean, he was.
Yeah. I thought it was Darth Vader for a second. Yeah.
A Wookiee with a cold or something. Yeah, that I was like, dude, you paid money for this.
Yeah, I know.
But all in all,
yeah, it's good.
It's good. We really, really enjoyed it. I'm hearing mostly good things from what I've seen from my friends who've all been really careful not to say anything.
Yep.
They've all said it was really good.
Yeah.
You know, blown away by it, you know, all the way from blown away by it down to, you know, I really liked it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty good entry into the canon.
Yeah.
So that's our take on it.
Yeah.
We hope that you saw it before you listened to all this and had it all blown for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have seen it, well, go see it again.
Yeah, go see it again.
Find new things each time.
Definitely. And like we said at the beginning, this is sort of a little different from what our normal thing is for the bomb shelter, which
departure.
Is the bomb shelter in the name is kind of, we generally watch and speak about movies that are not so great.
Movies.
This movie obviously is not a crappy movie.
No.
But we thought from time to time, why don't we just do sort of our little take on our own little movie review?
Yeah, we might
movies that are good.
Do movies that are considered good.
Yeah. So yeah, if you like this, and we hope you did, you can so far find us right where you just found us, which is on YouTube at Valley Lodge Productions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'd like to talk to us, or besides just comment on a video if you like, but if you'd like to ask a question or suggest anything or anything really, you can also email us at valleylodgeproductions@gmail.com.
Yep. You can reach us there. And at some point, we keep saying this, but at some point we'll get around to making this available on like YouTube or something like that. And then that way you don't have to watch.
Yeah.
Well, not YouTube, iTunes.
iTunes, yeah.
Yeah. And then you don't have to listen to it on YouTube all the time. So that's it. We are going to go now.
Yeah.
And may the force be with you.